red hot shot. I can cook your meals, turn the factory wheels, 'cause I'm Reddy Kilowatt.
This is Reddy Kilowatt. Reddy Kilowatt was created in 1926, so as of this year, 2026, he's 100 years old. I've always loved old characters like this. There's just something about old advertisements and logos that really stand out, especially when you compare those to the modern day age and the logos and advertisements we have today, which just seem safe and boring. Back then, things had personality and character. So for this project, I decided to create two versions. This version for myself and one larger posable version. We're going to cut them out of wood, paint them, and then distress them to look vintage. I really want him to look like he was made maybe in the 1960s and he's already lived a long, full life. So let's build him.
Now that's classic.
Oh! Oops. Make sure your couplers are tightened because the little bolt right in there was a little loose and I lost my x-axis. But tightened it up. Now we're back in business. But that piece is toast. Well, luckily I have another piece of scrap that fits pretty much exactly for the head that we kind of ruined on the last one. All right, I got to kind of lay it out, but man, that's going to be so cool. Right, so each piece is a little separate piece. It all gets bolted together, and then you can kind of like move them around, pose them, rotate the legs a bit, rotate the feet. This is the rigid one. This is probably going to be the one that I hang on my wall because I've always wanted one of these. So we need to, prepare this, make sure that it's ready for paint. Now all the pieces of the other Reddy Kilowatt, these, we need to go ahead and cut off the little tabs, just like the other one. Make sure they're ready for paint, sand them smooth. Also, what we need to do is go ahead and drill holes in the ends of each of these, right? That way they can be mounted together. And why didn't I do that on the CNC? To be honest, I probably should have. But sometimes you're just ready to get to the next step. And hey, drilling a handful of holes by hand isn't the worst thing to do. So we need to mark where the holes are going to be, drill the holes, sand down the wood, get it ready for paint. I'm just going to mark the holes in here, but we're going to be working outside because this is my paint booth and I don't want it filled with sanding dust. Before we start painting, I want to go ahead and dry test fit this whole thing. And I looked online for antique screws, more so antique bolts. And I found some, but they probably would have taken quite a bit to get here. And I didn't really want to spend the money on that or wait the time. So what I did find is just from my local hardware store, you have these binding set screws. Right, but I think these would work for what we need. And basically the idea of that vintage look is a slotted screw. Obviously these are shiny and metal, so we're going to also paint these and make them look like old bolts that have been there forever. So for now, we're going to test fit everything and put it all together and see how it works. And then if we like that, then we'll disassemble it and get these all these primed. I don't know. It slowly starts to sag. Well, I don't know. We'll see. Reddy Kilowatt posable version is put together. Now I know what to do when I do a final assembly to make it kind of perfect. That's super cool. So now we'll just start painting. We're going to go ahead and prime all these pieces. I'm going to go ahead and use this Zinsser 123 primer. I'm going to prime the back sides first. Then we're going to go ahead and flip them over once they're dry, and then prime the fronts. So we got all the pieces primed. They sat overnight, let them fully cure and dry. Now we just got to sand them down. I'm going to use 400 on kind of the nasty parts where they, I have touch marks. I wasn't really careful, but it was just primer, so it's kind of like whatever. I wouldn't do that on top coat, but for primer, whatever. I'm going to sand it down anyway. So I'll use 400 on some of the nastier areas, but then I'm going to upgrade all my scratches to 600. Also, I would be doing this outside, but it's 25 degrees outside, and I'm just not feeling it right now this morning. So I'm going to sand in here, which is kind of a big no-no. I don't really like putting sanding dust and debris in my paint booth, but I'm cold. I don't want to be cold. So we're ready to paint these, and we're going to be using Rust-Oleum spray paint. Got an apple red, and then I got an heirloom white. And both of these are satin. When you think of old, you don't really think glossy. You think satin or matte. So that's what we're going to go with. So no gloss. I didn't really want to go with a pure white because, again, it's old. So I'd imagine over time that white paint would have yellowed a bit. So that's why we got this heirloom white. So I picked this apple red because we're going to be hand brushing the details of Reddy Kilowatt's face, his hands, and his feet, right? To do that, I got this alpha enamel alpha red. So we're going to be brushing that, and I feel like that was a good enough match color-wise with this apple red. This is going to be glossy, but to faux it and make it match the rest, we'll go ahead and wet sand this and knock it down. Now, when it comes time to faux these and distress them and make them old, I have a lot of experience with automotive paint. So acrylic enamels, basically fancier paint. And I've done a lot of faux work and distressing and aging, but with different sets of paints, right? Now, I don't have a whole lot of experience with spray paint in terms of faux. I've got a lot of spray paint experience. A lot of late nights, if you know what I mean.
Naughty boy.
However, not a whole lot of faux painting with it and distressing. So I actually found a pretty cool video by a guy named Wesley Treat, and we're going to be trying out his techniques of making something distressed and old. So I'm going to put a link in the description. You should definitely go check out his work. It's amazing. It's a great channel. Give him a follow. One of the first techniques to distress and age these is basically applying dirt and grime to the substrate, right? And we're going to do that first underneath our base coat layer. So this is going to really show up really well on red, especially. Red isn't the best at coverage, and so we'll see a lot of this grime underneath the red. And basically how we do that is we take this water-based black, and you take a spray bottle with about 15 ounces of tap water and take a little syringe, and we're going to put around 5 to 10 milliliters of black water-based paint. Just going to mix that up. All right, so the idea is we kind of want to spray this on, and then you take a rag, and just kind of blotch it. The trick with tape, especially when the paint still could be kind of soft, is just take the sticky side, use your clothes, picks up a bunch of, lint and whatever else, but for the most part, just dulls down the stickiness. So we don't want to make impressions or leave tape marks or anything like that. So we just have to do the brushwork next, but today's it was a good paint session, right? We got both our colors done, we got the backs done, we got the fronts done, and now we just need to do the brushwork to do the detail. So we're going to be brushing in all the details today, and we're going to be using this Alpha Enamel, Alpha Red. Should be a pretty close enough match. I'm not too worried, and even if it's slightly off, I think when we distress it and faux it, we can kind of blend it in better, right? I could be using a pounce pattern for this, but to be honest, the details are pretty simple. And the more I look at different examples of, vintage Reddy Kilowatt characters, they're all like handmade, hand painted, and they weren't really that precise. And I think that's part of the charm of it. We don't want perfection. So just to help myself, instead of a pounce pattern, I'm just going to freehand draw it, and I'm going to draw it with a chalk pencil. You can kind of see, you can draw on it, and then it just wipes right away. We have all of our chalk lines done, so we know exactly where we need to paint. I'm going to be, again, using Alpha Enamel, and I'll probably throw in some Alpha Enamel Flow Enhancer. That way it flows nice and easy. The brushes are Flying Squirrel Brush Company. Absolutely fantastic brushes. This one came in a set. It's the Hi-Fliers set. They come in different sizes. So for this project, we'll probably be using a couple different sizes based on our needs. But I'll put a link in the description to the company. If you need a set of brushes, I definitely recommend them. So all the brushwork is done, but it's very glossy. In retrospect, I probably should have thrown in some chalk or some baby powder, and basically what that does is creates a matte sheen instead of the gloss. But hey, I was going to be sanding this anyways and distressing it, and maybe it's more work on the back end. I'm not entirely sure. But next, we're going to distress this and age it. And so again, as you can see, he's pretty shiny. So we're going to be sanding this guy down and getting him more matte and really just kind of playing with this. It's the fun thing about distressing is, in a way, it's abstract, right? You're doing things in abstract manners to get an end goal, right? So it's just kind of a fun process. We got a few different options. I got this red Scotch-Brite pad. And if we really want to, we can get into some wet sanding. I got 800 grit. This is 800, 1500. I'll probably use the Scotch-Brite to dull that down. And then if we want to break through and show more, brush strokes, then we'll probably use wet sanding technique. It needs a lot more work, but you can kind of get the idea. Here's wet sanding, right? Take your sandpaper, soak it in water for a while. Just kind of leave them in the water when I'm using them. Then you take your sanding block. I name all my sanding blocks. I don't know why. It's just something I've always done. So this is Sandra. We're going to be using Sandra. I like the way this hand looks. I like the way his face looks. I think this hand needs a little more work. Yeah, look how it's eating away at the ear, just eating away at the paint. Looking like it's been, slid around, tossed on its face. The sun ate away at the paint. So UV degradation. This is just 80 grit sandpaper on a sanding block. Just getting some nice kind of random scratches. It's that point where you're like, less is more, right? Go too far with this and you may not like it. Like I swiped right to the mouth and I don't know, I didn't like it at first, but it's kind of growing on me now. But like obviously it could start to look very intentional if you overdo it. So maybe we'll stop here and we'll work on maybe a different technique for now. Switch it up. Welcome to the perspective of my floor. I don't want to get my new backer all disgusted. So I'm going to spray this on the floor. And what am I going to spray? I'm spraying that dirty water that we created. Again, that is just black acrylic water-based paint mixed with tap water. So we're going to spritz this on, and then we're going to dab it off again, take off the excess. Look how dirty he is now. Dirty hands. Dirty face. I think I need more on the red. But I like how the face is, so. Man, that's coming out great. I'm really digging it. But I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to sleep on this. It's kind of one of those points where it's like, hey, you know what? Take a step back, rethink about things tomorrow, and then see if you want to push things more, right? But that's kind of the thing about distressing and faux work is it's kind of easy to go too far, right? And then it doesn't really look that realistic, or it's like a fine balance. I let him sit overnight, and when I look at him today, while he is great, I think he looks great from about 5 feet away. Anything more than that, it just doesn't look all that distressed. So I think I'm going to push it a bit further today, just so when you're further away in the room and you see him, it clearly states this is old, this is antique. Next technique is we want to make the paint kind of look chalky. When paint is outside and it gets UV degradation, eventually it kind of gets this kind of like chalky white look. The way we're going to do that is we have this Minwax wood finish semi-transparent color stain, pure white or tint base. Basically what we're going to do is take a chip brush, dip in here, wipe it on, and then we'll take a wet sponge and wipe away. For the white areas, I want to add a little bit of a yellow tint. So I got this amber semi-transparent stain, water base. What I'm going to do is take a little bit of this, water it down, and I'm just going to try to add a little bit of a glaze over the white, and then maybe wipe away any excess, or take a cloth and then kind of pat it. Let that dry for a second. I think literally the last thing I want to do is add a bit more of the black dirt spray, and then we'll just call this thing good. It's looking pretty old. Last layer. I'm gonna go back and add a little more dirt.
I can heat your coffee pot. I am always there with lots of power to spare, cause I'm Reddy Kilowatt. Remember, just plug in. I'm ready.
I got the posable version all sanded down. That way it's flat. There's no gloss. I ate away at a bit of the brushwork too. But before I get too far into the distressing and fauxing, I want to assemble it, because likely, this thing would have been assembled as it aged. I did go ahead and spray all my bolts. They were a shiny silver, right? So this is how they started when I bought them, and here's the bolts now, right? I had on hand, so I had this Montana Gold. I guess the color is anthracite. And then I had Montana 94s, Maroon Cafe. And then just to darken it a bit, I have this transparent black. And then, basically I did is black, and then I dusted it with the brown to give it kind of this aged look, like it's starting to rust just a little bit. Before we distress the posable Reddy Kilowatt further, I want to go ahead and put them in place, assemble him, and put them on the base. The problem is we don't have a base yet. So here's the base. It's going to be a 11 by 24 inch. It's poplar, and I'm gonna put in slots in the center for his feet to slide into, and then the corners we need to put legs, right, to raise it up off the ground. I found this cool little piece of corner trim piece at the local hardware store, right? It's obviously too long, but I'll go ahead and cut it down to 2 inches or so. And then the way I'm gonna attach it is I'm gonna use 3/8 inch dowels. So I'm gonna put 3/8 inch dowel holes in each corner. And then also by hand drill in 3/8 inch hole on this piece. That way when I slide the dowels into place, everything kind of lines up. And then I'll use wood glue to attach these further. We're going to create a little pounce pattern. And why would I do this with a needle? That's a terrible idea. And I absolutely agree. I am going to be making a much better tool for this process, but that's my next project, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, if you guys are interested on how to make this process way better and way easier, you should check out my next video. Hopefully it'll drop sometime soon. See all these holes. You can see the light through them. But now we'll just take some sandpaper, quickly sand over the back. And you could tape all around it, but then you can't really check, right? You want to check to see and make sure that the transfer was successful, right? So basically I just create a hinge here, right? So just tape on the top. That way we can lift it up and see our pattern and see if it transferred. I'm going to use white chalk on this. It'll show up on the red, and since my lettering is going to be an off-white, it will be all right. This is a pounce pad by Hans C. This is basically the leading industry pounce pad. You can create your own pounce pads, but these things are cool. And this one was like a custom screen printed one, so it's even cooler. So the idea is just kind of pat down like this. Then take it and just kind of rub it in. Rub it over your pattern. Make sure you get all in those holes. And hey, looks pretty good. Now we have all of our letters. Unfortunately, the post and set screws is not going to work on this project. I can't get enough tension on these to keep him rigid without being a noodly wet mess. So I had to order online these slotted screws, right? That way they're period correct. The problem is they're too long, and the only way I can get the correct size is if I bought a massive amount of bulk. And I didn't want to have a few hundred screws. I just wanted 12. So we need to cut all these to size. And the best way to do that, I mean, other than a cutoff wheel, but for me, the cutoff wheel can be a little, iffy, right? Because it's pretty easy to damage the threads. So what I found to work over the years is you take your drill, you mark where you want to cut the bolt to shorter size, tighten up the chuck, where you want your cut mark to be, and then we're just going to take a metal hacksaw with the blade, make sure it's in forwards instead of reverse, and you just put your hacksaw on right up next to the chuck and just start drilling away, and we'll just go back and forth with the hacksaw at the same time. Now it's cut and the threads are not damaged, but you can put a nut or whatever as you back out the screw and the nut, then it'll go ahead and correct any threads that may have been slightly damaged. All right, so now that's fixed. Let's cut the size. You didn't damage any threads. Good to go. I need to paint these, paint them to look old, but obviously you can't paint the threads or else they won't really work anymore. So you gotta cover them with tape, protect them. And now they look old, but they're still functional. All right, so we're going to put together Reddy Kilowatt, and I thought, what better place to put them together than right in front of the Murray City Power Plant. And it's got this amazing neon sign. It glows awesome at night. Just a beautiful, beautiful sign. All right, here's the base. And I think the lettering, the distressing came out really great. Boom. Here we go. Awesome. I think this thing came out great. It looks definitely vintage. The distressing is really good. I think there's some room to improve on some of my techniques, but overall I'm really happy with how this project came out. Just what a cool character. This character is 100 years old as of this year. Just really cool to have a character that spoke on electrical safety, taught people about electricity, something so ingrained in American culture that seemingly disappeared when we went to, I don't know, boring, generic, just very corporate logos. I don't know why and how we moved away from this to the corporate logos we have today, but I much prefer this. Very cool character, and who knows, maybe they'll revive him at some point.
I'm a real live wire and I never tire. Yes, sir, I'm a red hot shot. I can cook your meals, turn the factory wheels, cause I'm Reddy Kilowatt. When you toast your toast or you roast your roast, it is I who makes them hot. I'm in your TV set with every show you get, cause I'm Reddy Kilowatt.